The previous video that we did on Zemnu really opened up my eyes to Hulk as a character in a way that I never really thought of the character, because more popular media, I suppose, doesn't really portray him in the way that the Hulk in the Zemnu video was portrayed. So I wanted to learn more about him, and I saw a lot of you guys recommend this particular video by Mullet Man, so here we are. Now, some of you may have noticed that Serby is not here, and unfortunately that's because Serby is busy. They're probably going to be for like the next couple of weeks, potentially a month or so. And don't worry, it's nothing serious. Serby is just kind of in between jobs right now, and a lot of their schedule is going to change. They're also going to be moving. I believe they secured a new one, so they're just taking time to deal with that. For now, things will just be like before, where it's just you and me watching videos together, so yeah. But anyways, before we get into this video, please make sure to go support the original if you haven't seen it before. Link very top of the description, like always.
Scares me the most is it when it happens, when it comes over me, and I totally lose control. I like it.
That is a scary thought. God, wait. I'm trying to pick up what's happening in the background. I think that's all the Marvel
Bruce Banner,
movies.
a man with a broken mind, trying to suppress a monster within, to hide from it, to run away from it, but the Hulk won't let him. Banner is a prisoner of the Hulk's everlasting rage, just as we are prisoners chained to the MCU's horrendous treatment of the Hulk. For years
Yeah, it is really unfortunate how the Hulk is portrayed in the movies, because there is so much more to the character than he's ever given credit for.
the Hulk's potential has been squandered over and over due to...
We just didn't know what to do with them. We were like, what, this big, powerful character? What do we do with this big, powerful character? To say to people who think we nerfed the Hulk, he deserved it. He deserved
What?
it. He deserved it.
What the fuck? What are you talking about? I never saw this video before, but that really sucks.
He deserved it. He deserved it.
Or the Hulk being in movie rights purgatory with Universal. It's so bad that every time you see him in a new movie, it's as if 3 films have transpired since you last saw him, leaving you having to constantly play catch-up with the character and wonder where he's been, like that one family member or friend you see at a dinner every 5 decades. His villains also get tossed around for other heroes to deal with, which is infuriating. Like, imagine if they made Green Goblin an Ant-Man villain because they could never use Spider-Man. You'd fucking hate it. These issues have been snowballing to the point that no one knows anything about the Hulk at all, except that he's a big green guy that smashes stuff. Yet by the grace of God, it's all but made up for with the comics, that I feel like once I've made you aware of, I'll hopefully succeed in leaving you feeling nothing but robbed and cheated out of true happiness. But
I mean, I kind of already do just from the Zemnu video, but looking forward to seeing more examples of what they couldn't do with Hulk.
before I go any further, I want to establish a couple of things. First, this video is sponsored by Edward Norton. Second, I'm going to make slight comparisons on the MCU Hulk to the comics, and I'm going to constructively shit on the MCU's treatment of the Hulk, only because I'm coming out of a place of love for the character. Now let's all punch our tickets and get to watching. I'm going to leave like a couple minutes, couple bit of spaces. With the Hulk having pretty much just 2 solo movies with the same plot, and a show that is just indescribable. The common factor about them all is Bruce Banner getting hit by gamma radiation, subsequently becoming the Hulk and living a life on the run, trying as hard as humanly possible to never get angry, while also being hunted down by hardened General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, father of Betty Ross, Bruce Banner's main love interest. These 2 films get the job done in terms of establishing the Hulk, his very simple backstory, and his most prominent characters, except for Rick Jones. They just said, fuck him, I guess. Which is a bit sad considering he's essentially the Hulk's best friend and half the reason the Hulk is the Hulk.
There you go. I'm kind of a casual into Marvel, and I had no idea such a character existed.
He's the equivalent to Marvel's Jimmy Olsen. Wherever the Hulk is, Rick Jones is usually not that far. For some reason, and I don't know why, I had thought that he was this guy in the 2003 Hulk film, but I guess I'm just schizo. Yet while making this video, I learned that Rick Jones was supposed to be in the Incredible Hulk movie, but had sadly been cut from the film. And yet despite this fact, his name is in the beginning credits. You'll never believe who Ty Burrell plays in the movie, by the way. In Hulk 2003, what I love most about the film is its introspection of Bruce Banner and the childhood trauma he faced from his father, Brian Banner. In the movie, his father is this abusive asshole consumed with the idea of obtaining power, much like his comic book counterpart. And whether this is me looking too deeply or not, whenever we see Bruce in these
Interesting. I knew about like the abusive relationship that he had with his father, but not that his father was also potentially a villain. I wonder what exactly we're talking about when we're talking about pursuit for power. I'd have to assume then that maybe the father was also like really smart and also a scientist, and they're going in that sort of direction with the character, because I don't know anything about this character at all.
flashbacks, he's always destructive due to the traumatic environment he lived in, having no other way to vent that anger out other than by smashing his toys. So when his father kills his mother and Bruce is taken to live in a healthier home, Bruce learns to block out that part of his life deep in his subconscious. It's only until Bruce becomes the Hulk that that version of him from his childhood is brought to the forefront of his mind, especially when he returns to his childhood home much later in the film to remember almost nothing until becoming the Hulk, since throughout his father's torment, Bruce unknowingly developed the persona of the Hulk, as a manifestation of all the anger and trauma Bruce couldn't endure on his own. Because what most probably don't know is the Hulk didn't originate from the gamma radiation, but from within his own mind as a child. The Hulk is a byproduct of Bruce Banner having DID, dissociative identity disorder. There are certain comics that flesh this out further, like Hulk Tempest, that shows Bruce using the Hulk as a coping mechanism to escape from conflict whenever possible in high school, and the Hulk fucking hates Bruce for this. He thinks Bruce is a puny coward and hovers over him, constantly filling his head with vitriol, to make Bruce feel the same way he feels. Powerless. At one point, getting so tired of being used like a stress ball, the Hulk would take over Bruce's body like Fight Club to bomb his high school, until Bruce managed to take control and defuse the bomb at the very last second, leading to his diagnosis that'd plummet the Hulk deep into the crevices of Bruce's mind. The reason Hulk hates puny Banner is because to Hulk, Banner was always in control of the Hulk and used him as a stress ball. All the gamma radiation did was give Hulk the keys to escape the cell Bruce had left him in for years.
That is completely fair, to be honest. If I was in that position and I was kind of in existence within somebody else who was living a life and I was basically just used whenever it was convenient, yeah, I wouldn't feel too happy about that. I wonder then if this is consistent throughout all the Hulk comics, that Hulk was created before any sort of gamma radiation happened. I hope so, because it is a really good I guess, unique thing for the Hulk. And it's not just, oh, got hit by gamma radiation, turned into a big green guy that smashes real good.
Years. And to me, the movies really did an outstanding job of keeping this quality of the Hulk intact. But I can't really say the same for the movies he appears in going forward. However, something I do quite like when it comes to the Hulk, and whether it's intentional or not, is that when the Hulk is in a movie, he's more or less a cameo character that either helps the heroes or serves as a secondary antagonist, which is something quite aligned with the Hulk's comic book counterpart. See, in very, very early comics, the Hulk is relatively faced against Toadmen, space dudes, and whatever the hell this is. But more often than not, the Hulk would just randomly appear in other people's comics. Whether Amazing Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, or the Avengers, founding the Avengers, or looking for a cure, or getting mad at the Green Goblin for stealing his flow. But while this is something that can largely benefit the Hulk as this awe-inspiring hero that remains a mystery to everyone in these other titles, you have the benefit of being able to read the Hulk following his run-ins and keep up with the character. Whereas with the movies, you don't have that benefit. And so where my problem lies, I guess, is that when you go from, let's say, Avengers Age of Ultron to Thor Ragnarok, and you meet Hulk once again after going through 2 years of character development you never got to see, sporting his Planet Hulk fit to make everyone go, ooh, that's the fit he wore in that one comic.
But like, what happened to him?
Yeah, I remember that one cover, dude. Marvel is back, man. They pay attention to what the fans want. Yeah.
It ticks me off a bit, because it's taking an element from an amazing story, but stripping it away of all of its depth. And what fucking pains me is that no one realizes it. See, in Age...
Well, yeah, I mean, the majority of people aren't going to have read the comics before they're introduced to it through the movie, so that's just going to be the general opinion. It is really a shame that Hulk is just one of the members who never got his own, like, singular movie. Well, I keep saying that. Last time I said that, Survey also corrected me that there are a bunch of singular ones. We've seen a bunch of singular ones here, just not like what I mean by that is the interconnected ones. The ones that tell you about his story before the next major event within the MCU. He just kind of shows up and smashes. I genuinely think that exploration of, I guess, the human psyche in this instance with Hulk and how he deals with it, how he goes through it, could be incredibly interesting. It's just probably some sort of rights issue or illegal bullshit. Or maybe they really just don't know what to do with the character.
Of Ultron, he takes the Quinjet and flies into space, I guess, landing on Sakaar to be taken in by the warm embrace of the Grand Master, Jeff Goldblum, later becoming the champion of the Contest of Champions. Hulk then goes on to live a lavish life as the champion and love smashing, until Thor comes around. They toss each other around a bit, and then they fly off to Asgard to defeat Hela, while an uprising just happens back on Sakaar and the Grand Master is overthrown. In a fucking
just
post-credit
happens?
scene. I could waste several minutes explaining to you why this pisses me off, but we have so much more to get through, so the train keeps rolling. In the actual comic, Hulk saves the Earth from total annihilation, and in turn, a few of Earth's mightiest heroes, instead of thanking Hulk for saving the day, are terrified of the potential destruction he could cause and launch the Hulk into space.
Okay, hold up a minute. I only knew about the part where they decided to send him to space, and I've made jokes about that in other Marvel videos, but he literally saved the Earth, and then they sent him to space? What the fuck, man? That is really dumb. I guess from one point you can understand he's so powerful. If he wasn't good, then what do we do? Sort of like a Superman situation, right? But on the other hand, he literally saved you. So, ungrateful much? This sort of situation honestly might be a bit of a pet peeve of mine, because I do recall now, slight spoilers for Persona 5 Royal. But there is a scene where Ryuji basically saves everyone's life, and then everybody starts to mourn his quote-unquote death, but then he comes back, and then all the girls decide to beat him up for some reason. That made me dislike all of them in that one singular moment. There was no reason to do any of that, but they did. And you could say it's anime being anime, but still, I still remember that particular scene till today because it just ticked me off. Same vibes right here, man.
Never taking into account that any time the Hulk was destructive, it was always due to something that couldn't be helped, like the two being separated or mind-controlled. And believe it or not, Hulk is actually one of the few heroes with the least amount of civilian casualties. So in space, on a course for a healthy planet with no life, the ship's course is derailed by the Hulk's own anger for being betrayed, sending the Hulk through a wormhole, crash landing onto a hellish and brutal planet called Sakaar. The Hulk is put into slavery and forced to fight in a gladiatorial arena for Sakaar's sadistic Red King's own amusement. What's beautiful about this story is that you witness this force of destruction go from hating everyone to loving everyone, chained with several people all sharing the same goal of survival and reattaining freedom. Hulk forms a war bond with a salt-of-the-earth rock alien named Korg, a cowardly yet vicious bug named Meek, and a handful more as the story progresses.
Okay. We're not even probably to the climax of this story, but man, this sounds way more interesting than what we got in the MCU. That seems like such a... It's not even a proper reference. It's like, hey, do you see this outfit? Yeah, it came from this. But none of these elements are present at all.
See, what makes Hulk awesome is not just his ability to make a world break in half, but also his inherent compassion for others. It isn't within Hulk to kill or destroy for no reason, to witness those suffering and not act. So to eventually be freed by the Silver Surfer and be given the opportunity to go back home, Hulk declines. Earth has never resembled a real home to the Hulk.
Well, yeah, this is now his home, his people. These are the people that he's formed relationships with. Like, why would he go back to the people who don't appreciate him? I completely am on his side on this. And I do love the idea of Hulk using his strength not for, his own personal gain or some sort of a satisfying of destruction, but using it in order to protect others. In many ways, I feel like that kind of strength that you get in those type of moments where somebody else's life may depend on you is much more powerful than whatever you could do for yourself.
Sakaar is where the Hulk feels belonged. Hulk stays and declares it his planet from then on, set on ridding Sakaar of its Red King and bringing about peace to the planet through revolution, as the people of Sakaar learn to look upon the Hulk as their savior. Because what is revolution? if not love with fists. Victory after victory, Sakar's people begin to believe in a prophecy that one day a man called a Sakarson would arrive and make of Sakar a paradise or a hell. Inevitably, the Red King is overthrown through the Hulk unifying the people of Sakar, vowing to improve upon their quality of life, in ways such as lending the gamma radiation within his own body to a race of aliens called spikes that feed on energy, or spreading his blood across the lands of Sakar to create bountiful life. And along his endeavors, the Hulk finds love and the beginnings of a family as the protector of Sakar. The Hulk is no longer feared or a monster in the eyes of others, and this is something that profoundly affects the Hulk in a way he never thought possible. All his life, he's been treated like a monster, but the Hulk is more than a monster. Despite losing everything and everyone, he's always been more than what others saw, and the people of Sakar see Hulk for what he's truly been all along. A hero, until the very ship that brought him to Sakar explodes. Everything's destroyed. His people, his wife.
What the fuck? You're fucking kidding me, bro. Can't we have a happy ending for my guy at least once? God damn it. Genuinely, I thought, no, wait, of course it had to, I should have known. The one thing that I knew about this whole Planet Hulk thing was that he did come back and smash the Earth to bits, and I guess this is probably the starting incident. But man, imagine you're reading this comic, like, when it gets released, and you're following Hulk's journey, you're super invested in him and all the characters and his relationships with them, and then it all gets blown up by the goddamn ship he flew in on. The prophecy was true. What a gut-wrenching feeling. I wasn't there, and I still feel it.
His unborn child, and it's all the puny humans' fault. And if he can't have them back, he'll take their lives as vengeance, leading into World War Hulk, where the Hulk dominates every hero in his path to find those responsible for taking everything he built up and learned to love, pitting them against each other in a gladiatorial event just as he was forced to endure, watching so-called just heroes become monsters themselves. By the end, Rick Jones is the one to provide clarity to the Hulk that whatever made the ship explode wasn't the byproduct of his old friends trying to eliminate him in space, but the act of someone within his warbound that grew tired of peace and pitted Hulk against Earth to make another war. And
oh shit, there's layers to this. Oh man. But I guess this could never happen because Rick was never really introduced. So who are you gonna do? Who are you gonna use? I don't know. What I mean is, like, in the MCU. And this story is so interesting, it could really be its own movie. It should have been its own movie. I really wish that it was now, but nah, we move on.
Friend responsible is none other than Meek, as he stabs and kills
What? Fucking me! Smacked my keyboard a little too hard there. Little skank! Ugh. And you're shitting me. Meek then stabs Rick too? Oh my god.
Rick Jones. Yeah, fuck Rick Jones, I guess. But can you imagine this guy from this movie being the fucking Black Zetsu of a World War Hulk movie? Because I can't. After which Hulk becomes so powerful with unbridled rage that he almost breaks the world, until the pain of the Hulk's loss and betrayal becomes unfathomable. The Hulk sees no more point in going on, so instead of remaining Hulk, he retreats within the crevices of Bruce's mind willingly and allows Bruce full control. The Hulk never wants to appear again by the end of the story, wishing he never existed, because even though the Hulk had given them everything, the Hulk will always be the one betrayed in the end.
Why is it? Man, I understand people's outrage. Like, the fans of the Hulk, I understand you guys now. That sounds so fun and so interesting. It would have been so cool. And then I can only imagine how you would feel seeing the, for lack of a better term, bastardization of these characters in the MCU. We're not even halfway through the video, bro.
Famously, in the beginning of Avengers Infinity War, the Hulk gets his shit rocked.
Oh,
experiences
jeez.
Hulk-tile dysfunction, the Avengers fail, half the universe dies, 5-year gap. Hulk is smart, Hulk is celebrity. Hulk is Mark Ruffalo. Avengers time travel to get stones. Hulk uses the stones to bring everyone back. And then that's pretty much it. Of course, he does have an arc. From reeling over being too weak to stop Thanos, to then becoming the strongest and most capable person that can bring everyone back. But sadly, it's painfully overshadowed by everything else going on in the film, because there's like 35,000 different characters that all need screen time. And the fact that the Russo bros didn't really know what to do with the characters, so they just didn't care, doesn't quite help either. Now, to explain how the comics are leaks better and they're bringing Bruce Banner to the destination of Professor Hulk, I first have to go over just a few elements that bring us to this guy. I mean, I don't really have to, but I actually want to because I adore the journey Bruce Banner goes through to get there. First, meet Doc Samson. He's a really cool guy whose power is dependent on the length of his luscious green hair, who bursted himself with gamma radiation to get with Betty. Until Hulk rocked his shit so hard, he decided to make it his life's goal to not only help Bruce with his anger management, but also taking as much vitamin E supplements as he possibly could.
I see.
Fun fact, Doc Samson has appeared in the MCU one time in the Incredible Hulk movie, played by that one guy from Modern Family, which blew my fucking mind when I found that out. And yet Doc Samson never gets any love as Bruce Banner's gamma-irradiated psychiatrist. He's sort of what Bruce wished he became instead of the Hulk, and aspires to be just like him. He's the ideal guy in Bruce's mind, because he kind of is. Moving on though. In future stories, Doc Samson manages to separate both the Hulk and Bruce into two separate entities. This goes on for quite a while, with Bruce able to be a normal man again, with the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. attempting to repeatedly imprison the Hulk. During this time, Bruce and Betty managed to reclaim some normalcy and even get married, although Rick Jones had to take a bullet for Bruce to make it happen, because fuck Rick Jones.
My god, is this gonna be a running theme? Poor Rick, man, he keeps getting Uncle Ben.
I guess. However, as time went on, Bruce's health started to decline without the aspect of the Hulk within him, because for whatever reason, the Hulk was carrying an essential aspect that kept Bruce alive. Inevitably, the two unite once again. Only after the combination process had been completed, the Hulk re-emerged as the Grey Hulk through reasons at first unexplained. In the Grey Hulk's emergence, he grows tired of sharing his body with Bruce over and over when the sun comes up, while he is always cursed to roam the night like a monster. Initially, this was always how the Hulk was intended to be written when Stan Lee envisioned the character, remaining the color gray like Frankenstein's monster, combined with the personality traits of Jekyll and Hyde, and only ever becoming the Hulk at night, but changes had to be made with the Hulk's coloration due to the comic's production at the time. The Jekyll and Hyde aspect was toned down, and the night and day thing was thrown out completely, leaning more towards him changing whenever he became angry. Although
I feel like for a lot of these heroes, the night and day thing is gonna have to go, especially if you want them to be present for certain major events that will only have to happen during a certain time of day if you want these people to be there. We saw that with Ghost Rider as well, and I think it's just a smart shift. It's a pretty cool idea for a singular story, but not a connected universe.
The aesthetics of the two never quite left the Hulk, and if anything have become more and more prominent as time has gone on with the character. God, do I love it when they illustrate him like Frankenstein. It's so fucking awesome. What's even cooler is that in the first issue of The Incredible Hulk, Bruce Banner is introduced as a renowned scientist working with the government in an effort to create a gamma bomb that could make the nuclear bomb look like a firecracker. And yet at the very moment of testing the gamma bomb's capability, fucking Rick Jones is fooling around in the bomb site on a dare because he didn't want his friends thinking he was chicken, leading Bruce to put his life on the line to save Rick before getting caught in the explosion, later becoming the monster we all know as the Incredible Hulk. Bruce, like Victor Frankenstein, is a scientist that pushed well past what society deemed possible, in turn creating a monster within his very own hubris. I could end it there, but I want to continue. In Original Sin 3.1, Bruce Banner, like Victor Frankenstein, was not driven to create something abhorrent with his work, like a gamma bomb or an undead abomination, but rather something remarkable, a solution to improve upon every ailment in life, world hunger, disease, the average lifespan, all improved upon through gamma radiation. As with Victor Frankenstein, the pursuit to control and conquer the ultimate enemy we all face, death, both developing grotesque machinations as a means to a bitter end and both arriving at the same cruel fate, creating cursed monstrosities that haunt both Bruce and Victor alike until their dying days, torturing and tormenting them for not only their chaotic and brutish nature, but for the total and utter rejection and violence they had been subjected to for just existing. The Hulk and the monster alike share a rage that can never be quelled, and are cursed to never live, just as they are both cursed to never die. And it is as such, the Hulk torments Bruce for being his creator, by being destructive with Bruce and what he cares about most, while Bruce tries with every fiber of his being to rid himself of the monster he's created, only to fail time and again. Bruce intended to create something as a gift for mankind, and instead brought about never-ending suffering to himself alone, a suffering that the Grey Hulk would intend to rid himself of by eliminating Bruce Banner, only to learn the hard way that by destroying Bruce Banner, he'd only destroy himself in the process.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you're one and the same. This is a Persona 4, you're not me sort of moment happening right now. I think it's such a powerful character trait, not in terms of physical strength, But I guess in terms of relatability, I think all of us at some point in our lives have not really known who we are, where we're going, what we're doing, felt a bit of a disconnect. And I think in moments when you're lost, stories like these can certainly help you begin to see the way.
So coming to terms with the fact that they'd have to live a shared existence, Grey Hulk works as an enforcer
Sour
at a
moment.
casino in Las Vegas, giving himself the name Joe Fixit.
Ah, yeah. This is the skin in Marvel Rivals, yeah? It's a cool skin, but I didn't know its origin.
What's interesting about Joe Fixit during this time that doesn't quite become apparent until much later down the road is that the Grey Hulk's entire personality is developed from Bruce Banner watching old mafia movies as a kid. Joe Fixit is the manifestation of a child's idea of what a grown-up man acts like.
That is so genius, though. Honestly, a lot of us go through life probably with that sort of idea. This is how adults should act, therefore I am acting this way. But I think deep down, we all kind of don't really feel all that different from when we were a kid who didn't really know what the hell was going on in the world. Maybe we just get better at acting like we do. That one's for my wife. And that one ain't for my wife. You know how it is, right, sweetheart? Are you doing anything later? Oh my goodness.
He's quick-witted, street-smart, manipulative, and never afraid to get his hands dirty over something he thinks is worth it. Joe Fixit takes action where Bruce never could. So if the Green Hulk was Bruce's squishball as a child, Joe Fixit was what Bruce wished he could have been to fight back against his abusive father and save his mother. And it's when Bruce and his alters clash for control inside of Bruce's mind, Bruce is left completely catatonic, as his mind can't bear the constant fight for control between the three of them, leaving Doc Samson the only person who can save Bruce from the disparity in his own mind, having Bruce face his trauma head on and overcome it to come out of the experience finally whole for the first time ever in his whole life. It's here where we meet Devil Hulk, Brian Banner. Anytime the Devil Hulk emerges from Bruce's mind, he's this ghoulish and dark being with insurmountable strength that makes Bruce feel utterly hopeless. The Hulks, including Bruce himself, are deathly afraid of this Devil Hulk and cannot fight against it no matter how much they try, as they dive through memory after memory. And it's only ever after his father finishes terrorizing them that they can try to recoup and wait till the next outburst arises. It's so fucking sad. This issue hits way too close to home for me, and at certain points it almost led me to breaking down, especially when the three of them are met by Bruce's mother desperately trying to escape their home from Brian Banner, just to be forced to witness his father murder his mother in front of them in cold blood, completely powerless to stop it.
Yeah, that is so fucking sad, dude. And this is what I was talking about earlier, with this being like such a powerful character trait. You can create some really compelling stories with this type of character. Stories that don't necessarily have to be sad, but it can make people emotional because, you know, you get it, you understand, to a level where what you're reading isn't fiction anymore. It's now becoming a story that you feel like you've experienced before. And this is one of the reasons why I enjoy exploring new things so much. Learning about new types of media out there, new series that I've never even taken a look at before, because you can find really cool shit like this.
He emerges as a child and doesn't cry, doesn't show anger, he doesn't even react, because reacting would only make his father come back with double the fury. Bruce had to lock away every emotion he ever had just to feel a semblance of safety from his own father, never allowing himself to experience emotion because he was afraid if he ever let himself let go, he'd turn out exactly like his father. And as someone who first
That is, yeah, that's so real, actually. We were just talking about this earlier, but when he mentioned the whole not wanting to be like father thing, it made me think of myself. And not to get too personal here, but I grew up without my dad because he was very irresponsible, let's say. And that's something that I'm personally working through because I've always had a fear of being like him. And I guess I set like standards way too high for myself because I want to make sure that I am nothing like him. Which of course, you know, it's a good thing if taken to the right amount. Pretty bad if you go way overboard, which is something that I do to myself sometimes. And I'm always afraid to disappoint, I guess, my younger self. Because he had dreams, goals, and aspirations and an image of what adult me would look like, and I don't really think I fulfill those. But we gotta accept that reality isn't always how we imagine it to be.
And went through a traumatic childhood somewhat like this, I understand wholeheartedly what it's like to fear becoming like my own father, and to cling to anything for a semblance of safety in a home that feels like a bomb that could go off at any moment. I have nightmares even still as a child, watching my father breaking down the door to our home, and the face he made as he rushed toward me, as if he could kill me and not feel a thing at all. My father looms within the darkest parts of my mind, and I will forever hate him for it. My mother and little brother were the only things that anchored me towards the light in that abyss of a time I lived through. And thank God for them, because there were so many times I just wanted to die. And like Bruce, with his books and science, superheroes and comics were something that made me feel safety from all the chaos I'd been living through, reinforcing in my 8-year-old mind that if someone like Batman or Spider-Man could persevere through utter despair and come back stronger, so could I. And it's because of this that as I've gotten older, I've learned to let go, allowing myself to feel, so that my father, like Brian Banner, can no longer hold any power over me and fade away like a bad dream. I'm sorry, I don't mean to trauma dump and cry in the club, guys. It's just that this issue means so fucking much to me. And it's
I can see why. I feel you. I feel everything there. I'm just so glad that superhero comics are there for many people, just like Mullet Man here. Because superheroes, they inspire people. You know, they may be fictional characters in a fictionally made up universe, but they can still affect you. Affect the way you think about life, how you go through it, and inspire you to do better.
Only after Brian Banner fades away that Bruce's mother can finally shine brightly in his place, like she was always meant to. There's a beautiful moment I also love from this story where Hulk and Joe Fixit are afraid of being whole with Bruce and allowing themselves to let go. They're afraid as if they'll die, but all Bruce's mother says is that they won't die. They'll live on as one. They can let go of their pain, fractured and scared no longer, and as their tears float away, they smile in warm silence and become as one, the Professor Hulk. So now you might understand why I dislike how this was completely glossed over and
yeah, no shit, bro. That's such an interesting character arc, so impactful. Could have been like everybody's favorite movie out of the MCU for so many people. And it's not there. It doesn't exist. You just have to assume that it happened at some point. Genuinely, massively missed opportunity.
The MCU for a selfie gag, right? We see Bruce in an entirely new light, taking on new threats and challenges like the Bi-Beast, leading the Pantheon, and facing against the dastardly monster befitting of his cruel, calculated, and despicable nature with as fitting a name, Mr. Bean. And although he saves the day countless times in one adventure after another, Bruce is running away from himself now, and Doc Samson can't help but take notice, witnessing Bruce resort to violence more often than not on occasions where things could have been solved with Bruce's intelligence alone, or his lashing out at close friends and colleagues for disagreeing with his methods, and Bruce's development of means to wipe out every superhero on the planet with the Pantheon. Doc Samson confronts Bruce several times and states that while Bruce may think everything is normal around him as Professor Hulk, Bruce has little to no regard for the fact that he is shrinking down his own life and cutting out everything that made him Bruce Banner, becoming someone cruel, cold, and utterly unrecognizable of the man he once was, creating nothing for himself but a future imperfect, one ruled with an iron fist by the menacing monster known only as the Maestro. Professor Hulk is transported 90 years into the future by an old as shit.
Oh, yeah, Marvel 2099. I think we learned about this in the Sir Superhero video, where Miguel shows up in the future, seeing if it had changed, and then, Maestro is there.
Jones to a tarnished world, where the Maestro rules over all as a despotic dictator to the people of a city called Dystopia, where masses struggle for food, clothes, shelter, all the very basic qualities of life, while the Maestro and those in his favor live a lavish and worry-free life in his Emerald Castle. Professor Hulk is transported to fight against his very worst nightmare and his greatest foe, himself, for the sake of not only what's left of humanity, but for his very own soul. In fighting against the Maestro, it's evidently clear that they're both drastically different from each other in the way they fight and act. As Maestro, knowing how Bruce ticks because they're one and the same, has all his moves memorized, and not even that, the Maestro threatens to kill civilians if Bruce should continue fighting. Maestro has forgone all morality, and the awesome thing is that he knows Bruce still cares for people, so he uses this in their own game of mental chess, all coming to a head with the Maestro snapping Bruce's neck and keeping Bruce in his Emerald Castle to break him down further by sending women to sleep with him without his consent, or forcing him to witness the Maestro's cruelty firsthand by taking in more slaves for his own personal amusement, I'll put it, and allowing those in
Yeah.
need to die suffering. This drives Bruce mad to the point that he almost kills himself in hopes to erase the Maestro from existence. But sadly, time travel doesn't work that way. So in the midst of all of this torment, the Maestro explains to Bruce that the reason he will become this monster he sees before him is all because of humanity's desire to destroy, which led to several nations nuking the world. And due to so much radiation spreading across the world, which Bruce soon absorbed on top of losing everything, the excess radiation increased Bruce's strength tenfold while eroding his mind, telling Bruce that his fate is sealed no matter what he does. So the sooner Bruce accepts that, the sooner they can rule dystopia together. Over the course of several days, Bruce works up the strength to fight against the Maestro once more in a planned attack with the Resistance, leading to a showdown in Rick Jones's souvenir room, with Maestro stating how much he always hated Rick along with the others, and that he should have put him down many years ago. So in going for the killing blow, Rick deflects it with Cap's shield, only to be stricken into Logan's vibranium skeleton.
Rick, why, man? Every single time. This man exists to die. Well, technically speaking, all of us do. But in the comic book sense.
Stabbing Rick through the chest, because fuck Rick Jones, I guess. The Maestro chuckles and states how idiotic and pathetic Rick is for using a souvenir to save his life, just to die by another one, only for Professor Hulk to chuck Cap's shield so hard into the Maestro it'd pierce his chest, but not enough to kill him, as the Maestro again overpowers Professor Hulk. But where Maestro may overpower Professor Hulk in strength, Professor Hulk more but makes up for that with his intelligence, leading Maestro exactly where Professor Hulk wanted him, on the time travel pad, sending the Maestro to where it all began. The very place that brought life to the Hulk is the same place where the Hulk meets his bitter end.
Poetic. A perfect loop. I'll take it.
Afterwards, Professor Hulk is left to mourn over his best friend and hurtle his remains into space before returning home to face the haunting possibility that he could very well become the Maestro one day. Approaching Doc Samson to confide with him over this possibility, Professor Hulk breaks down into tears of despair, saying that all his life he never wanted to be like his father, which is why his psyche became so fractured for decades. But when looking at that future version of himself, it was like he was staring into the eyes of his own father again, leaving Professor Hulk unsure if him being whole would really be worth the torment of knowing that he could very well become that man almost 100 years later. Now, all of these incredible stories that I've just condensed down for you, remember this, were completely sidelined for a 5-year time skip, and when almost added upon further in the She-Hulk show, all we got was a test lab, a brochure Bruce had developed to conquer his own mind with no mention of Doc Samson whatsoever. And not only that, all the pain he endured for years, to the point he put a gun in his own mouth to end it all, was just completely dismissed. And I don't have a problem with the She-Hulk show, by the way. Like, I'm not gonna watch it on my free time, but I'm also not gonna dog on it unnecessarily. Holy fuck, do I have a problem with it. And it's literally just one thing in how they handled it, which is the last 30 seconds of the show being this Fast and Furious cookout scene and it adding in Scar, with Hulk fucking waltzing on in to be like, hey guys, this is my son Scar with a fucked up haircut. That'd make anyone in existence want to kill themselves. Yeah, me and him, we'll be in a movie 10 fucking years from now.
What? Who? It really is a Fast and Furious cookout scene. You expect Vin Diesel to show up and start talking about family. Yeah, I didn't know anything about the show. I've never seen it before. I've heard mixed things about it, but yeah, that's about it. It's just the more and more you learn about the character, the more you grow to appreciate Hulk more, and the more disappointed you become in all of his representations in popular media. I wonder if someday we will get like a Hulk adaptation that is just, actually true to the character. But the current direction of the MCU, I don't think so. But I guess maybe in like an animated series. One can only hope. And keep on huffing that copium.
Bye. Jesus Christ. In the comics, after Sakaar was destroyed and Hulk had left with his Warbound, unknowingly abandoning his son, who managed to survive after his mother's death, inside of a cocoon until reaching his peak physical form, over time, Sakaar learned of his father and the ways of the warrior, set out on killing him for his abandonment, arriving to Earth sometime later to find Bruce in a state unable to become the Hulk anymore. And although Sakaar had been set in his ways on killing his father, he wants to kill him in his strongest form. So Bruce would prepare Sakaar for that day by sending him against some of the Hulk's most dangerous foes. But in doing this, Bruce knew deep down Sakaar was always ready. He just wanted to have a chance to bond with his son. Yet at every attempt, Bruce was shunned, for Sakaar could never forgive him for not being there at the start to guide him through life and protect him. And not
to be fair, he had no idea. But of course, to the kid, that doesn't really make a difference. The tragedy of that incident just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Only that, but for in part killing his own mother, that Scar never got to meet but in spirit form. Scar had to learn everything on his own and face hardships no child should ever endure. And it'd only be after Bruce regained his gamma by stopping Intelligentsia, a group of intelligently villainous morons who I'll go over in a different section a bit later, that the two would face off against one another. And although Scar may have been ready to face against his father, he was not prepared for his father's ferocity at all. As with every clash of Hulk's fury, Scar absorbed. In the consciousness of Bruce, he's reminded of his father, how in every single good moment, his father was always at the very end to tear it all down, to destroy and to hurt most of all. Hulk thinks of this subconsciously because he's mirroring his own father, and it's only until Scar lay beaten on the ground that he shifts into his natural form, a child. And we get this indescribably striking page of Bruce and his father, along with Scar and the Hulk side by side.
Exactly. Don't become the man your father was, no matter what. God, so many of these moments and the way these panels are drawn remind me of a particular panel from Berserk. I'm sure those who've read Berserk will probably instantly know which one I'm about to talk about here. But it's about the one where Guts is raging, ready to get into battle. But then, he hears a sound from behind him. And then his emotions completely shift. Trying to be pretty vague here, because I do highly recommend, if you're into dark fantasy, Berserk is like one of the best ones out there. But it's just such a striking shot that I think we're going to see shots like that for a very long time into the future in many different types of forms of media.
Bruce has become his father in this very moment, unless, instead of repeating the cycle of abuse by further abandoning his son, Bruce can choose to be better. So Bruce embraces his son and shatters the cycle completely. It's beautiful. And yet another thing that the MCU just utterly ignores and tosses aside. It's criminal. But you know what else is criminal?
Bruh.
One of the things that's always bothered me about the Hulk never getting standalone movies in the MCU, not that it can be helped, is that a lot of the times his villains are left out for other heroes to tackle on. And what sucks about that is that I want what everyone else might want, for the Hulk to take on his own villains. Take the Abomination, for example. I saw Incredible Hulk initially as a kid, and thought he died at the end or something. So seeing him again in Shang-Chi after more than 10 years, I was more than thrilled. And then I heard he was in She-Hulk, played by the same guy. I was hyped. And then when I saw him in the show, I just felt nothing. They turned him into a big talking CGI joke. I just love laughing, guys. Isn't big CGI monster that can talk #3 super funny? Oh my god, I'm laughing out loud. I'm just rolling on the floor laughing. Call me Laughing Leonard over here. If anything, I think it would have been funnier had Abomination not changed over the course of time from Incredible Hulk to She-Hulk. But where did that psycho go that tore up Harlem to prove he was stronger than the Hulk? Or shot and killed a dog just for the love of the game? Why did they de-villainize him off screen when there was so much more they could have explored? But he's just misunderstood, guys. He can be funny when you really get to know him.
You sure about that?
Just give the guy a pass. He's not...
I don't know. What? Interesting. He's literally before I had therapy, he's still the freaky Abomination. Don't get it twisted, it just takes more to anger him now. Like, it better this way, he's like a Buddha yoga monster. As a Buddhist myself, I don't know how I feel about this comparison. Now granted, I haven't seen the source material, but just hearing about the character and the way he's initially portrayed, I feel like characters like that have some sort of redemption arc that you kind of need to see them go through in order to really get behind the character. If they don't have it and he just shows up being like, yeah, I got therapy, now I'm better now. It's like all those YouTubers who do something very bad. They say that they went to therapy for a month or something, then come back. It's like, really? Has anything really changed? I don't think so.
Not a joke at all. He's literally reformed and had therapy. He's still the freaking Abomination, don't get it twisted. It just takes more to anger him now. I like him better this way. He's like a Buddha yoga monster. He's like a Buddha yoga monster.
Oh my goodness.
He's like a Buddha yoga monster.
But going from that to the comics, thank God, because I was certainly uplifted by what Abomination has gone up to there. One thing I found out is that the Abomination is a Class A hater. The guy is okay with genocide as long as he gets his own cool robots, and at one point killed Betty Ross by infecting her with his gamma-irradiated blood, because the Abomination was consumed by jealousy and hatred for Bruce, since, unlike the Hulk, he was permanently trapped in his monstrous form, and his wife left him as a result. He felt that Bruce was the cause of all his misfortunes, so by poisoning Betty, Abomination sought to deprive the Hulk of his loved one and inflict the same sort of emotional pain and loss that he himself experienced. This ended up working for a time as Bruce blamed himself for her death, believing Betty had been poisoned because of him, and yet it turned out to be the Abomination's career-ending move as the Hulk caved in his fucking skull, along with General Ross becoming the Red Hulk and smoking his ass. Which brings me to General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, who has the most accurate portrayal from the comics to the movies out of any other Hulk characters showcased in any MCU
of all the
film.
characters.
R.I.P. the GOAT. In essence, his character really is just a glorified army general from a long line of other generals with a lot of pent up anger issues and a drive to control something uncontrollable. When he comes face to face with the Hulk after his daughter had been accidentally harmed, Ross vows from that very moment to stop the Hulk by any means necessary, even if he is Bruce Banner, the man Betty loves more than life itself underneath. Because all is fair in love and war. Ross sends the army after the Hulk. He commissions large-ass mech suits to fight against the Hulk, and bargains with devils. Over the course of his hatred, Ross becomes everything he swore he hated, just to beat the Hulk as the Red Hulk. This is done because at the time, Betty had been killed by the Abomination, Captain America was assassinated, and America was falling apart without a strong leader. So Intelligentsia approached Ross with a proposition. Ross becomes the leader of America, while under the guise of Red Hulk, systematically dismantles everything standing in the way of Intelligentsia reigning supreme, all so that Ross can have his daughter back. Of course, this backfires tremendously, and she comes back as the Red She-Hulk, exposing the true identity of Red Hulk before he could take his place as President of the United States. Brave New World takes a few of these aspects and slams them all together. And it's not really done in a terrible manner, it's cheesy, but not terrible. In the movie, it's supposed to be this big reveal that Ross is the Red Hulk because he took gamma heart meds provided to him by an imprisoned leader over the course of 15 years. But
isn't that sort of in the marketing of the movie? So I don't really think it could be a reveal.
I can't help but think it had been better if the movie still stayed true to Red Hulk's story. Like if after the end of Incredible Hulk, Stearns became the leader and just amassed so much knowledge that over 15 years he formed Intelligentsia, which is what I thought She-Hulk was setting up, but we all know how that turned out. While also revealing that it had been the leader pulling the strings on Ross from Civil War to Brave New World, motivating him to control the Avengers or to become the president and even the Red Hulk, by holding the most precious thing over his head, his daughter, infecting Betty with just enough gamma to maybe not kill her, but where he can keep her alive in a cage for Ross to remain docile. And by the end, Ross would somehow have to come to terms with letting go and accepting that he cannot control everything, only the choices he makes going forward, becoming an unexpected variable in stopping the leader alongside Captain America, maybe curing Betty along the way, because fuck it. But what do I know? That probably would have been worse than what we actually got. Yeah, what? I don't know why they opted for Ballsack Head either, but that aside, I find him very cringy in this movie, but like in a funny way. He's just a Discord mod that's been in a basement for 15 years.
Isn't it obvious? I'm the hero.
Fucking Billy Badass over here.
Yo, bro.
And that's actually the most accurate thing about the character. The leader is a smart moron. Originally Samuel Stearns, Stearns was a janitor at a gamma testing facility until he was accidentally affected by gamma radiation. Stearns, who at the time was cripplingly stupid, became smarter and smarter with each passing day as his mind craved knowledge from the gamma. And as an effect of retaining so much knowledge, his skin turned to a green hue and his brain became much larger. With his reason for being a villain to the Hulk as simple as brain beats brawn. The leader would go on to face the Hulk, die a couple times, and start a club of other smart morons, including Dr. Doom, but when he became stupid. The leader is super.
Okay, I was like, you sure Doom's gonna, go with these guys? I think he's probably here for his own agenda, unless of course in that particular issue he wasn't written like other Doom issues, but I don't know this story. And I guess on the other hand, like, are you even surprised when Doom shows up? Because he's there and he's everywhere. Even if he's not involved, he probably had a hand in it at some point.
super intelligent and yet has absolutely zero imagination on how to actually apply it. And for this reason alone, no matter what he does, he always falls on his ass in the end. But I can't help but point out how utterly terrifying the leader does become when he taps into the green door. The leader feeds
insane.
off its power and
That's
messes
pretty cool.
with the Hulk from the shadows, taking control of his friends' bodies to fight against the Hulk, tampering with Bruce's soul, and even consumes Brian Banner to use Bruce's trauma against him, all coinciding with the leader learning the answers to everything in the universe and being overconfident like usual. The leader leads himself to a fate far, far, far worse than death. Okay, Absorbing Man is who I'll talk about next. He's been in the 2003 Hulk movie, but his character was merged with Brian Banner. And then his second and last appearance in the MCU was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I didn't watch it, but it looks pretty close to the source material, I guess. I know he wasn't originally a Hulk villain, but a Thor villain, who was given powers by Loki to cause Thor and Odin some mischief in Asgard, with the power to absorb anything. Absorbing Man is actually a villain not to be trifled with at all. The guy can stand toe-to-toe with gods and cosmic beings, to the point he
Really?
can open the green door.
Alright, man, that's the second time you brought up the green door, and I don't know how to read. So, like, fucking explain to me what the green door is, you fucking asshole.
Not about the green door. It's about what lies beyond the green door. The green door is a metaphysical gateway opened upon a gamma mutate's death, leading to a hell-like dimension called the below place, where all gamma mutates are sent to upon death just to suffer until they are resurrected, ruled over by the most
I
vile
see.
being in the Marvel Universe, the One Below All. The One Below
Oh, so that's why we had the whole text at the very beginning of the video. I see.
All is the complete opposite to the One Above All, the creator of the Marvel Universe. They are two sides of the same coin, as the One Below All is a creature without a mind of its own, possessing only terrible desires, destroying all so that the One Above All can begin the cycle of creation anew. Yet in spite of this purpose, the One Below All still harbors its own goals. The One Below All genuinely does hate, and its ultimate goal is to destroy everything in the multiverse, to become the one remaining presence in it, leaving no stories and no life left to ever exist. However, in spite of this, the One Below All can never escape from the paradox of its own existence as a counterbalance to the One Above All. So in order to do more, it requires a host. And luckily for the One Below All, Bruce Banner was the one who made it possible by opening a green door the day the first gamma bomb went off, killing Bruce and resurrecting him as the Hulk, with the Hulk pretty much the only thing standing in the way of the literal embodiment of evil inhabiting Bruce's body. And what's genuinely terrifying is that we see a glimpse of this possible scenario coming to fruition, of the Hulk failing and Bruce becoming a vessel to the One Below All after destroying his soul and being the only remaining person in a universe completely void of life. It's here the One Below All succeeds in killing the aspect of the One Above All and wins. And throughout Immortal Hulk, you are shown glimpses of this possible future to be one nightmare after the other. And the very reason for this is to make you question whether Bruce will be able to save his own soul and stop the One Below All, or to see if his soul will be damned as a being of destruction and chaos till the very end of existence. I'm mentioning the One Below All in this video about how none of the Hulk comics have ever been properly represented in a movie or show format, mostly because I feel like talking about him, but also because I think this could be the perfect Hail Mary for a Hulk movie that could tackle Hulk in a way never seen before by the average person. But the only catch is that it'd have to be like a 10-hour film. But I doubt that'll ever happen, but who knows.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of concepts here that you'd probably have to establish, and there wouldn't really be enough time in a singular movie to do so. Now, I don't know if the MCU has tapped into, like, the One Above All and the One Below All at all. Didn't mean to say it that way, but it worked out. But while I do agree this would be, like, a completely different perspective, or bring a different perspective to people, to the character of Hulk, I kind of personally want to see the more psychologically driven ones, especially the Planet Hulk one now, because that was tragic.
Really just holding out hope that we'll meet Rick Jones in the MCU at this point.
This is the end. Hold your breath and count to 10.
Do you know why the Hulk wears purple pants all the time? It's because while Bruce Banner was in college, Bruce bought a bunch of the same outfits so that he could never have to waste time thinking about what to wear, so he intentionally stocked up on purple suits because he figured that they would become more fashionable in the future. But how do his pants stay on when he's all big and green? Well, according to a letter from a fan pointing out how insanely powerful Hulk's purple pants are, either writer Len Wein or Marv Wolfman had to make up in their response that his pandemonious purple pants never came off or got destroyed was because of the Hulk's levels of gamma radiation being given off, that the pants would acquire added properties beyond those normally attributed to ordinary purple pants. Those are some pants, man. Overall, I feel like I've pretty much touched every base, and I've said everything that I felt was worth saying in terms of the MCU Hulk, paling in comparison to the Hulk from the comics. I don't know if I really said anything that was new or profound.
Hey, I mean, completely new to me. And definitely new to the more casual audience, because none of this is portrayed at all in popular media, and it is really a shame.
Tussled with this video for months, not sure whether to make it or even how to tackle the subject, and at one point this video looked entirely different, where I was going to interview people about their thoughts on the Hulk from the MCU, but that just did not happen at all. I had, I'd say, an average knowledge of the Hulk before I went into this video, and have come out of this experience of reading and researching the character and watching all the films with a completely newfound appreciation for the Hulk, and a newfound disappointment that most of the stuff I went over isn't talked about more, including the fact that Hulk just had a series by Philip Kennedy Johnson that is just crickets, and it's one of the better Marvel comics being made right now. The Hulk is fighting demons and delving into extreme body horror, and I could just be biased, but I like that stuff a lot. And I happen to think that the Hulk blends well with the supernatural. For instance, there was a one-shot made about the Hulk just roaming through the woods until he stumbles upon this boy. The boy named Petey isn't scared of the Hulk, but rather just wants to play ball and help hide the Hulk from his family so he has somewhere to think in peace. Because at this point, the Hulk is just roaming around like a fucking cryptid. Weeks go by, and the Hulk spends more and more time getting to know the kid, but something is off. Petey is afraid of going near a fallen down tree in the woods, and his family doesn't seem to acknowledge his presence whatsoever. It's not until Petey's father comes back home angered that his criminal operation has been burned and cops are after him that Petey's mom says that they can't just leave. They can't just leave Petey under the fallen down tree. Hulk's eyes widen as everything clicks into place. Petey always playing in the woods, his family never acknowledging him. Petey afraid of going near the fallen down tree. Petey has been a ghost this entire time that had been murdered by his own father, coming to a head with the Hulk colliding with the father's bus and roaring that his son is still where he left him and that he'd been murdered by a monster over and over before sending the father to hell. After which the next day rolls by and Hulk sits with Petey as the police wrap up their investigation, with Hulk apologizing to Petey for not being there to save him. But Petey just says back that the Hulk saved his sister, and from now on, he'll stick with his little sister and teach her hero stuff, so to be as good as the Hulk someday. This is one of 30 issues in the run, and granted it's not entirely like this, but I still suggest it as a must-read Hulk story.
It's not a big story that affects the universe as a whole, but it is a very personal one. And I think these kind of stories are important for characterizing people. Or honestly, being a one-shot, you can do some pretty interesting things with it. If I had been a fan of Hulk prior to this and this comic book came out and I read it, I think I'd appreciate it a lot, actually.
Especially because it concludes where the new Infernal Hulk series begins, with the Hulk half dead now going around as the Infernal Hulk, possessed by an ancient demonic entity called the Eldest, who has ripped Bruce Banner completely out of the Hulk to take his place. It's a gruesome series that uses Hulk in a merciless way I don't think he's ever been in canon before. But with that, I have covered just about everything, and have hopefully done a good job of explaining and catching you up to speed on everything the comic Hulk has ever done. I made this video specifically because I love the Hulk. I love all the characters that soar with him. I love the way the story of the Hulk makes me feel. I love the painful moments just as much as I love the sweet. I'm glad I ended up making this video, now that you know about the potential that has been squandered for decades, has been Marvel's biggest mistake. Deuces.
What in the world is Booster Gold, and why do so many people want to see him? What is this? I'm just so glad that videos like this exist out there, because the Hulk, unfortunately, is just not portrayed in this way at all. Despite being such a compelling and interesting character, somebody that I think a lot of people can relate to, but you never know just by watching the movies. It's just such wasted potential for a character that can be so much more. And I guess we could always continue to hope that someday he gets the love and attention that he deserves. But yeah, dudes, that's going to be it from me today. Thank you guys so much for joining. Hope you guys enjoyed having me here. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.